David Benavidez is back in the boxing ring this weekend as he is looking to put his undefeated record on the line when he takes on David Morrell Jr. As they fight for the regular WBA light heavyweight championship. So, what's on the line in this one this weekend? Well, obviously, the regular WBA light heavyweight championship. But there is a lot more than that on the line for both of these guys. A lot of our focus this week is on David Benavidez, and rightfully so. But there is a lot to focus on with Morrell Jr. as well. We will start with Benavidez, though, who is looking to break into superstardom. He feels like he has been one fight away from being a superstar in boxing for a really long time now. And he has been so close, he just hasn't had the right opponent. And that right opponent has been there a couple of times, and it should be Canelo, and it just hasn't happened. And we can talk about what that means on a Canelo side, but for Benavidez, it has meant that he is just squished up against a ceiling right now, trying to break through into that stardom. I don't think Morrell is the one that gets him there either. I think Morrell Jr., like we're going to talk about in a second, I think people are sleeping on this cat. I think that this is a really, really interesting fighter in light heavyweight and maybe beyond. But I also think that this isn't the big name to get Benavidez into that superstar stratosphere. The one thing with him, though, is that this is the fight that gets him that next fight, that gets him into this stratosphere. Most of the assumption is that he is going to face the winner of the Beterbiev-Bivol fight that is happening a little bit later on in Saudi Arabia this month. I guess technically next month. By the time that you watch the fight, it'll be this month. Late February, that fight is going to take place. So this fight, it doesn't rocket him into superstardom, but it finally gets him that opportunity that he has been clamoring for that real legitimate pound for pound level fighter that he can go out and try to showcase his skills against and see if he can turn himself into a star. Because if he gets that one and he wins it, then I would assume Canelo is next, because then he's holding the belts that Canelo really wants to round out the legacy. On the other side of it, David Morrell Jr., this is not last fight week where we were talking about, in a way. Oh, and by the way, Kim, Morrell Jr. is a really interesting fighter. 27 years old, out of Cuba. He was unstoppable as an amateur. 130 wins, 5 losses. Amateur boxing, it certainly has some warts and some weird wrinkles and stuff like that. But still, you could put him, you fight 135 times against anybody, someone's going to slip a punch in there a couple times. You would think 130 wins is ridiculous. But now, he is a pro. And he's an undefeated pro at 11-0 and 9 knockouts. But it's only 11 fights. So you are looking at someone who is still very new in their career, who has kind of rocketed up a number of different boards. He's already won championships at 2 different weight classes. And there's only 3 of his fights as a professional that haven't had championship stakes attached to it, which is probably part of a bigger conversation around boxing, if we are being honest with ourselves. But there is still a real, I don't want to say rocket ship, but I feel like there is a real lack of discussion around this guy. And like you look at it, and I mean, only a few of the guys who he has fought even have Wikipedia pages. And even those, like only a couple of them have pictures. Like this isn't a long line of stellar pound-for-pound greats that he has stepped into the squared circle with by any stretch of the imagination. This is the biggest fight of his career, both in terms of attention and talent faced and all of those different things. Like there's no one on the level or close to, there's no one 2 levels below Benavidez on the resume for Morrell. But still, to have a couple of different championships in a couple of different weight classes with an 11-0 record and 9 wins by knockout, and in 11 professional fights, there's something big here. So again, this isn't like Morrell has a chance here. If he loses this fight, it is expected. That is the result that most people are anticipating from this fight, is that someone's has to go, and it's probably going to be his. But he has a chance as well to work his way toward superstardom. He is a few steps away from superstardom, but he can get into that conversation with even just a good performance here this weekend against David Benavidez. So one guy is fighting for the opportunities that he has deserved for a long time, while another is just fighting for the attention to maybe one day get into that spotlight. It is a very, very intriguing fight in my mind coming up this weekend.